The commanding officer in the city was Henry Baker, an Anglo-Irishman, and his second in command, Adam Murray, a Scots-Irishman, and below them were 2 English officers. None of these men could have foreseen what was to come. Londonderry needed to rely on its citizens to defend her, as she didn't have many soldiers stationed there. Among the men who answered the call were James Fisher and his oldest sons. They stood up on City S ramparts, along with hundreds of others, and fired down on the King AS forces. They served for the duration of the siege, watching their friends die, either from being shot or blown apart by cannon fire, and witnessed many in the city starve as food ran out. It got so bad, mothers needed to kill rats just in order to feed their children. But still, the Scots-Irish refused to surrender to James, and their resilience paid off. On August 1st, the siege was lifted, but what the people endured would live long in their memories. For 101 days they suffered. In that time, thousands died of gunshot wounds, starvation, disease, or despair. None of the Fishers lost their lives, but the mental scars they no doubt suffered followed them long after the last soldier retreated from Londonderry S walls. It is unknown when Janet passed away. James lived until January 5th, 1704, passing away at 69, and was laid to rest in Londonderry Presbyterian Cemetery. The youngest of his siblings, John, was too young to fight during the siege of Londonderry, but he experienced its horrors along with other children, and by a miracle he and his brothers and sisters emerged from it unscathed. Once grown, John became a weaver like his ancestors, marrying Sarah Ellen Walters, daughter of John Walters and Mary Meehan, in 1700 in Londonderry. Sarah Ellen's background is sketchy, but it is known that through her mother, Sarah was of native Irish heritage, belonging to Clan Miadachain. Her father was of Welsh descent. Together, John and Sarah Ellen had 7 children: James, born 1701, John, born 1705, William James, born 1716, Janet, born 1718, Martha, born 1720, Samuel, born 1722, Hannah, born 1724. Their last child caused birth complications, and Sarah Ellen, like so many mothers during this time, passed away shortly after her birth, leaving John to raise their children alone. He did the best he could, and given the later careers both William James and Samuel pursued, John made sure his children were well educated. John Fisher did not outlive his wife long, dying just before Christmas on December 19th, 1729. He was laid to rest in the Londonderry Presbyterian Cemetery. A severe famine struck the north of Ireland in 1738, and William James and Samuel, the closest of the Fisher siblings, decided to leave their homeland in search of a better life in America. Using whatever money they could scrounge up, the brothers booked passage in 1739 and set sail. However, neither William or Samuel could have foreseen the desperate situation they would find themselves only a month into the voyage. Due to the famine, the ship's rations were low to begin with, but the captain believed they could make it to the American colonies before they ran out. He was wrong, and soon the people were subsiding on 1 pint of oatmeal and a piece of bread a day, and this didn't last long. People started to die of starvation, and, driven to desperation, those still alive took to feasting upon their flesh, William and Samuel included. Again, once the dead were consumed, there was nothing to eat. It became clear to all one of them needed to be sacrificed for the others to live, but obviously no one was willing to volunteer for it. Therefore they drew lots, and poor Samuel, only 16 at the time, was the one who received the shortest stick. One can imagine what William must have been thinking as this was happening. But just before they plunged the knife into the boy's heart, a ship was sighted over the horizon. The captain alerted it to their plight, and they were all saved, Samuel's life preserved. The brothers' ship landed in the colony of Maryland, but they didn't remain in the south, making their way to New Hampshire, where they went their separate ways. William James settled in the town of Londonderry, founded in 1718 by Scots-Irish immigrants from his home city, and here he joined the militia. His commanding officer was Major John Archibald, a man from the town of Maghera, who was one of the pioneers of 1718. He was also Londonderry S. Justice of the Peace, a politician and surveyor. Through John, William met his daughter Eleanor. The two started courting, and in 1743 they married.